Hey guys, welcome back to Salem the Crafting MMO, and in this video I'm gonna be talking about seasons. Now, seasons are something that all of you will be familiar with as you jump into the game, as you'll see certain things change here and there, but there are certain things which are not so obvious right off the bat. So in this video I'd like to kind of point out exactly what's changing and stuff like that when you go season to season, and some of them can be quite significant. So first of all, let's go over the 3 seasons that are actually available and that you might encounter. So first of all, there's the first 2 seasons, which are sort of natural seasons. We have Everbloom, which is sort of like a spring, flowery, lots of things going on sort of thing. And then we have a cold snap, where things sort of tone down, but other things speed up in cold snap. So there's sort of proper times to do certain things. And the 3rd season, where it's not exactly a season, but it's called a blood moon. Now, if you log on and you see everything is really dark and really red, then generally if you don't know what's going on, just log off straight away, because it's very important that you don't die in that one. But so let's go through the 3 seasons. We'll start with Everbloom. Now, basically in Everbloom, one of the first noticeable things you're going to see is that butterflies are around. Butterflies only spawn during an Everbloom, and so if you're into catching things and stuff like that, well, catching butterflies anyway, you can only do it during this season. So if it's a cold snap, then generally, well, you're not going to find butterflies. But as it is also Everbloom, fruit orchards will only yield fruit during an Everbloom. So if you have fruit orchards, you'll notice that there are these trees that you can grow at higher levels, where you will see in Everbloom there's fruit, and in cold snaps there are not. And one big thing is that harvesting crops during an Everbloom yields 50% more compared to harvesting during a cold snap. So if you do a lot of farming, you're going to want to make sure that you harvest when it is Everbloom and not harvest when it's a cold snap. And speaking of cold snap, let's go over that. There's a few good things about being in a cold snap, actually. First of all, bears will not spawn, so this might be a good or bad thing. If you're hunting bears, well, they're not going to be around. But for most people, you're not going to want to run into bears. So exploring during a cold snap is actually better. Now, cougars will still spawn, so it's not 100% safe, but without the fear of bears out there, if you're planning to wander around looking for a base, a new spot to build a base or something like that, the cold snap is slightly better. If you're into smithing and making blister steel bars will actually cool quicker during a cold snap. If you're hunting beavers will fatten up during a cold snap, and if you hunt them during a cold snap, you'll get gelatinous lard, which can be a very useful item. And if you come across snowballs and simple snowflakes will last significantly longer during a cold snap. And finally, sleds are actually pulled faster during a cold snap. Now, when you normally pull a sled, any kind of sled, it will slow you down during an Everbloom. But during a cold snap, you're not only just not slowed down, you can run with the sled. So if you're doing a lot of shifting of rocks or mining, or you're just carrying a lot of stuff from one point to another using these sleds, well, do it during a cold snap. It will significantly increase the speed that you move, and well, it'll just make things a lot easier. Salem has a lot of these things where it might seem very difficult to do at first, but if you actually learn the tricks, then it's not as difficult. Finally, let's talk about a blood moon. Now, this 3rd season is not a natural thing. Witches actually cast a spell to send Salem into a blood moon season. And it will only last a day, whereas Everbloom and cold snap will last somewhere between 6 to 9 days. A blood moon is only for a day, and it could a cold snap or Everbloom could happen after it. So the witches cast a blood moon and can do all sorts of things during a blood moon. But what it means for the normal person is that if you're online when a blood moon begins, you immediately get 2 madness levels worth of insanity. So that can be very, very bad. You got to be careful about that. But generally, you're not going to know when a blood moon is going to happen. So over time, you got to be prepared to deal with madness levels. But also being online during a blood moon, it means you'll accumulate insanity at a higher rate. So if you can't combat insanity and madness levels, better log off when there's a blood moon going on. Bleed effects are magnified during a blood moon, so if there's anything you're fighting out there that causes bleed, well, it will be worse. But one interesting positive thing sometimes is that if you're sifting rubble for gems, instead of getting gems, you'll actually get blood shards, which have their own uses really. But the big thing about a blood moon is that anything that causes you to faint outdoors during a blood moon, it will cause you to permanently die. So even if you, for example, go ahead and fight a cricket or fight a bunny out there, usually if the cricket or bunny defeats you, you'll just pass out, all your items will drop on the ground and you'll respawn. But if you pass out like that during a blood moon, your character will perma-die, like for reals. So a blood moon is very, very dangerous. If you don't know how to deal with it, just log out and come back tomorrow. Besides, during a blood moon, witches are doing their thing, so you wouldn't want to run into one of them anyway. Alright, so that's a little overview of the seasons in Salem. The most common things that I would really point out are harvesting crops during Everbloom and pulling sleds during cold snaps. Those are kind of the big things that everyone will sort of be dealing with, so just keep those in mind. Alright, that's it for this episode. Remember, if you'd like to support the channel and the game, there's a referral link down in the description down below. You guys know how a referral link works. Alright, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.